I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're exploring the fascinating world of mystical experiences with an amazing author. His name is Philip Nicholson, and he has penned a powerful book. It is called The Inner Light and World Religions: How Meditating Mystics Use Sleep as a Ladder to Trigger Ecstatic Visions. This groundbreaking book reveals how visions of light have inspired spiritual leaders, transformed traditions, and united religions across cultures. Combining history, neuroscience, and personal experience, the author uncovers the universal truths behind these profound experiences and their impact on society. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. And don't forget to download the Spotlight Network TV app, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Philip, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
This is such a compelling work, groundbreaking in many aspects. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind it to write it.
Well, yes, it's actually kind of interesting because I was working on technostress, the issue of how difficult it is to work in environments controlled by computers for a long time. And one night, I I was having trouble going to sleep, and I'd just been traveling on interviews for those other subjects. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm still awake,
Mhm.
wide awake. But I have to get up and help with the kids the next morning, whatever. So I get in bed, use meditation to kind of relax enough to uh, fall asleep. I'm almost there, actually, and all of a sudden I start to see all of this elaborate series of visions. It's a spontaneous eruption. I wasn't trying to do it; it just happened, and it was I was a bit afraid, but also pretty awed by it. And I recognized from when I was a young man that a lot of these visions are what they describe, what Hindu yogis and Tibetan monks describe. So what I thought is, hey, I can't bail out of this. I have to see where it goes. And so that's what I did. And I've been trained in what's called participant observation. I'm sure you do that too. It's where you're watching what's in front of you, but you're also watching your reactions.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
so I was counting how seconds and kind of thinking about this what was happening, and I thought it might be interesting to show you the first visions that appear
Sure.
because some viewers may have seen these visions. The thing is, we humans are very familiar with sleep, but we don't realize that sleep can be manipulated by meditators in a certain way. What they do is, as a meditator, you've got to be very, very relaxed,
Mhm.
and but you also you want to keep your eyes angled on the front of your nose or your head someplace and keep your attention fixated. And if you do that, when sleep starts, instead of cutting off your consciousness, which would normally do, your neurons are hyper excitable. And so they when they see that sleep wave come in, they interpret it as if it were a regular perception.
Mhm.
I can show you here.
Yeah.
Uh, Basically, here are the first visions to appear. They're green light rings. And I'll give you examples from famous mystics in a minute, but you can see that the ring comes in and it then starts shrinking in diameter. It fills in with a little green at the very end and then disappears.
Mm.
If you've been doing it a lot, it fills in with purple or okay. And here's another vision just while we're at it. This is the next vision that appears, and it has a third eye. You
Mhm.
can see there's it looks a little bit like an eye.
Mm.
So um, So here's some examples from famous mystics of seeing that. I have to read this because I can't remember.
Sure.
Um, the priests in 2000 BC who wrote the Rig Veda, ancient India scripture, you'll see radiant wheels. They're verdant green in color, and they fly away from the viewer. Early Taoist mystics in China, a green light that looks like the wheels of a chariot or like a jade girdle descending and enveloping your body. The founder of Tibetan Buddhism named Marpa. First one sees a hallucination-like sign, which is the halo of five lights. Ezekiel, the prophet Ezekiel, this maybe viewers will recognize more. Ezekiel saw a vision of something like wheels within wheels, and there were four of them. They were beryl in color, and they flew away from him. The prophet Muhammad saw the green cushions on which the dwellers in paradise are carried. And finally, basically, John of the Cross says that it looks like the shoulder pad that knights wear under armor, and it's like a helmet because it has only one hole. So um, I've gone on a bit there, but
No, it's
it's
fascinating because these connect all religions, these visions. Can you talk to us a little bit about the neuroscience behind these ecstatic visions?
well, yeah. What happens, and this I have both two books on this, but the what happens is that when the brain feels that the body is relaxed enough to go to sleep, the brain stem starts firing a synchronous burst, and that flows up through both sides of the visual system, and the on both sides of the visual system, the shapes that it flows through are like this.
Hmm.
So if you fuse those two together, you get a ring.
Hmm.
Okay. And again, the notion of why doesn't it cut off consciousness? Normally, that would absolutely block all incoming signals. But in this particular case, the mystic keeps their eyes, their visual system hyper excited. So, um, but then here's a different take. Uh, Most of the people who see these visions have histories of child trauma.
Hmm.
And the reason why that's important is um, if you think about a baby who's having pain or distress or a young infant, and they can't do anything, they can't fly, they can't escape, they can't fight. And so their only resort is to withdraw attention from what's outside them and from what's inside them.
Hmm.
And that's recognized as a particular syndrome that happens. And it's what in adults we would call dissociation.
Hmm.
So the infant learns what's my best defense mechanism. My best defense mechanism is to dissociate from everything.
Hmm.
These people, they've repressed their childhood memories. They take on adult jobs. They do a good job. Muhammad, for example, was a very successful businessman. But at middle age, all of a sudden, um, these people something feels like it's going wrong.
Hmm.
They start feeling depressed. And I'm describing Muhammad now as a good example. They feel depressed, maybe even some despair about what's the meaning of life. And so they say, I can't continue this. I've got to go off by myself, in effect, on a spiritual quest. And what they want to find is they want to get advice from a supernatural being that's more trustworthy than their fellow humans.
Yeah.
So, what do they do on that quest? They don't eat.
Hmm.
Sometimes they punish themselves, and they pray or meditate for long, long hours,
Hmm.
often late at night. And so, within a short time, they accumulate a sleep deficit.
Hmm.
So they are then in a position, they're depressed and they have a sleep deficit. So their neurons are hyperexcitable. And one time when they start to induce the meditation, they see the seizure begin.
Mm.
They may not see all of the interim, but they'll get the seizure. That's the bright, just to show
Yeah.
here. You can see that here's the seizure beginning with those
Mhm.
black rings. The black rings are the same as the green rings, but they're 10 times faster and 2 or 3 per second. So they form a dark tunnel. The tunnel, it's the same tunnel of a near-death vision. Uh, it pulls you in. And then then there's some bright flashes coming back, which is those are still the seizure. And then all of a sudden, you remember in near-death people talk about the dark tunnel drops them off in the bright blue light. Well, there's the bright blue light.
Mm.
And that's caused by now, the seizure is lighting up all of the visual system.
Hmm.
And the final piece is right here. There's an explosion. This is what in Hindu and Tibetan things they call the lotus unfolding. There's an explosion, and you end up with flashes of bright white light. And do
Hmm.
I have time to read a couple examples of the?
Sure, sure.
Um, so here's some examples from founders of religion. The ancient Hebrew priest said, "The final vision is bright like lightning, like an ocean of light." Buddha said, he saw boundless light sensations that lasted for a day and night. Lao Tzu, the founder of Chinese Confucianism, said, "The white Po spirits will fall through your inner space." Moses said he saw a fire burning in a bush without burning its leaves. Jesus said, "I saw Satan fall out of heaven in a hail of lightning." Uh, let's see, Muhammad said he saw a bright flash like the sun suddenly rising above the dark desert horizon. Joseph Smith, a pillar of light brighter than the sun that knocked him to his knees. And finally, Emanuel Swedenborg, it's a vision like the sun. God appears fiery and flaming.
Amazing. It's amazing that all of these light visions are connected to major religious figures around the globe and throughout time. Fascinating work, fascinating book. The name of the book is The Inner Light and World Religions, How Meditating Mystics Use Sleep as a Ladder to Trigger Ecstatic Visions. This is truly a groundbreaking book, and there's so much to this topic. You'll want to read this book thoroughly and perhaps get Philip's other book as well on the same subject. This book reveals how visions of light have inspired spiritual leaders, transformed traditions, and united religions across cultures. Combining history, neuroscience, and personal experience as well, the author uncovers the universal truths behind these profound experiences and their impact on humanity. Philip, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. You give a great summary.
Well, I appreciate that. It's your great work, so I'm standing on your shoulders and just paraphrasing a little bit of your wonderful work. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.